Yes, good morning, everyone. So, our topic for this morning is all about research design for quantitative. So, I had already shared to you before the different types of research design for quantitative, but to discuss further and deeper, I would like to share another additional informations for this topic concerning research design for quantity. So, our target objective for this morning is all about familiarizing oneself with the types of research design in quantitative, describing the functions of each type of design, and citing an example for each research design quantitatively. These are the research design for quantitative study. We have this descriptive design, the correlational design, a causal comparative, or an ex post facto design. These are all under non experimental study, and then the experimental design entailing the true experimental, the quasi or the quasi experimental study. All right, let's continue. The next one is descriptive. Okay, the descriptive, wait, hold on. Uh, it takes a little. Okay, this may take a little bit. The next one is descriptive design. The descriptive design describe the characteristics, the frequency and trends of population, situations or phenomenon without manipulating variable. It answers the questions what, where, when, and how, except why. In here, as a researcher, you need to take a little background of your respondents, like just like their profiling. How may the respondent be described in terms of their gender, in terms of their age, or in terms of their grade level? Why do you need to have this profiling? For you to be able, if there is something, for you to be able to if there is are something, if there is something to be clarified concerning the responses, you can easily get back to these respondents, because the background of the respondents is also needed for this study. And another one, another example for this is just like when you are conducting a study about parental style. Okay, and some of the questions may be answered open-ended or close-ended, but more open, close-ended are being prepared by the researcher, because the respondent the respondents have already the assumed answer for the choices provided. One of this concrete example is just like uh, being a parent. Is it really necessary for parents to ask their children from time to time if they are okay? Is it yes or no? So this is going to be answered as part of parental style of most parents nowadays, especially parents nowadays, or even in the traditional way. So this is also a kind of data that is going to be described, discussed, and interpreted descriptively by the researcher. Okay, so let's move on. The next one is what you call correlational. The correlational studies I was saying earlier, it's a non-experimental method that investigates the statistical relationship between two or more variables, observing how they change together without any manipulations or control by the researcher. And as far as naturalistic observation is concerned, uh, this is one of the example I was able to observe as I go through or went through with naturalistic observation. A naturalistic observation is a research method for collecting empirical data by observing the subject and their behavior in their natural inhabitant. Without any intervention, of course, manipulations or influence from the researcher. So, the primary intentions of the researcher is to observe the subject on how do they interact, how do they move, and type of style of living are they performing while the researcher is observing? The goal of the observer is served to be authentic. The behavior to be able to the behavior to be observed and to understand how the subject act and when act when they believe that they are not being studied by the researcher. So they are performing their actions in their natural inhabitants with this kind of picture. The next one, we have this what you call survey application. So in survey application, uh, the researcher is actually using a different platform. It may be given in a form of oral or written. Oral, where the researcher is conducting a survey questionnaire, holding the questions to the with the prospect respondents, or perhaps giving it to the prospect respondents. And then it can also be online, where Google form is prepared by the researcher and be able to answer by the prospect respondents. Some example of survey application is, what do you like most for ADM modality? So we do know what are these ADM modality. There are many dimensions, but we are only requiring to use two for this ADM. We have this radio based instruction. We also have online. We also have modular. We also have face to face. We also have TB instruction. So these are some of the ADM, but in our locality, we are using three of them: the online, the face to face, and also the modular form. So how satisfied are you with online mode? So is it strongly satisfied? Um, okay, uh, satisfied, neutral, uh, dissatisfied, strongly dissatisfied. So you are going to rate your answers with a scale of 1 to 5, and the 5 they're consider the strongly satisfied, the 4 is satisfied, the neutral is 3, the dissatisfied is 4, and then the strongly dissatisfied is 1. So the highest point there is 5. So you are scaling down the answer by having those 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Likert scale, as they call it. How would you rate the quality of the ADM you choose? Okay, so if there is a scale of 1 to 10, where are you going to scale down the modality that you're using? Or if there is a scale ranking scale of 1 to 10, where it's supposed to be fall? Is it 5, 6, 7, 8, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? So it's up to you on how are you going to come up into that kind of answer as choices given from this kind of questions. Okay, the next one, we have this documentary research. Okay, the documentary research, it is a systematic investigation used by the researcher, and this is presented in a form of written, audio, visual, graphic presentation in order to gain insight on the topic given. It can be a social phenomenon. Archives will also do, and then analyze the records taken from elsewhere for a personal account, news article, photographs, and more to be able to gain more support for the arguments. Okay. So that's for correlational study. Now, in terms of the validity and reliability of the responses given, we're also showcasing some table. The first one is what you call correlational table, correlation coefficient, person correlation coefficient. It's in this formula where R is n, and then summation xy minus summation x, and then multiplied by ey over the square root of n summation x to the second power and summation x to the second power and summation y2 minus e summation y to the second power. So I may not be able to describe this as clearly as I can, because I have only limited knowledge with this kind of computation. Okay, another example for correlational table in a form of using the person correlation or person R. We also have this one. So where the significant value of correlation coefficients of the two variables, whether they are accepted or rejected, and if it entails a significant value, does it show significant relationship? Do the two variables show significant relationship, or they do not show any significant relationship at all? The next one is also computations where the score, the mean are being given, and also the interpreted discussions for this second table for person R is this one. So this is the interpreted discussions and explanations for the second table. Each pair has to score one from each of two variables, where each pair subtract the mean for each variable from the pair score on that variable and multiply. The result times each other is score 1 minus mean multiplied by score 2 minus mean 2. Total those results for all of the pairs. Sum is score 1 minus mean 1 multiplied by score 2 minus mean 2. Divide that by the number of pair minus 1, and then sum multiplied by score 1 minus mean 1 multiplied by score 2 minus mean 2 over n minus 1. Multiply the standard deviations for each of the two variable time each other and divide your previous answer by that. Sum multiply the score 1 minus mean 1 multiplied by score 2 minus mean 2 over n minus 1 over standard deviation 1 multiplied by standard deviation 2. That is the descriptions presented for table 2. And then there are also other table for correlational study using the person R. Goes like this, and then this one. Okay, so this is the URL that you can go over and look over for this, for you to be able to get a better understanding for the proper computations of correlation, to be able to collect the data in terms of figure and numerical records as well. Okay, let's proceed. The next one is what you call the causal comparison. As I was saying, a causal comparison is another non-experimental research method that identifies potential cause and effect relationship by comparing existing group that differ on an independent variable rather than manipulating it. These are the typical reminders that you're going to consider for causal comparison. Typically compared two or more groups of variables or subject involve at least one categorical variable. Analyze the data by comparing average or uses cross-break table. No manipulations of variable, the groups are already formed. As weak evidence on causal, seek to find differences between IV and DB after an action has already occurred. So you will probably see the differences when the action conducted for the research was already happened or was already done. And some of the concrete example for this are as follow. We have this independent variables. The two groups are the dropouts and the non-dropouts, and the categorical variable like the level of self-esteem of the two subject dropouts and non-dropouts. Okay, and they are being compared with their effects of level of self-esteem for the two subject. Another one, we have this uh, teachers and counselors. Okay, these are the independent variables, and the categorical variables indicated is the amount of job satisfaction performed by the two subjects, counselor and teachers. Okay, so remember that the findings of this study will supposed to be happen after the action is already occurred or already done. Okay, perform as well. The next one is all about the experimental research. The experimental research uses scientific method to collect and analyze numerical data to establish a cause and effect relationship between variables. And it entails two, the true experimental and the quasi. Let's try to go first for the true experimental. It uses manipulations of variable, control group, and random assignment of respondents to establish a cause and effect relationship between an independent variable, which is the treatment, and the dependent variable is the outcome by collecting numerical data and analyzing it statistically. Okay, there are also numerical data going to be showcased when holding the true experimental. Let's try to see this example as given. I just lifted this from the YouTube of JM lecture. So the subject, it's all about the effect of role playing as teaching strategies used by the teacher in improving the reading comprehensions of the students. Okay, considering the two groups are already having the same rating in their reading comprehensions, they both got B. The first one is the control group, and the other one is the test experimental group. With their pre-test, they got the same score. Now, for the curiosity and um, for the teacher to find out why in most cases they just got the same score, the teacher may now think an intervention. And one of the interventions going to be applied here is role playing as to increase the reading comprehensions of the students. The control group will not be going to touch or hold by the researcher, only the test group going to be used for testing. And then after the intervention is tested by by the test group, there will be a post test to be given. And then from this post test, the result will supposed to be appeared, and then it came to the result. So the control group did not did not hold anything for the experimental. They got A, but prior to that they got B for both. And then the test group or the experimental group, they got A plus. So it shows that upon having the role playing performed by the test group or experimental group, it does increase their reading comprehension using the intervention of role playing as a strategy applied by the teacher. So it turns out to be effective. Okay. So next, the quasi or quasi experiment, it lacks random assignment of respondents to experimental and control group. Open due to ethical or practical constraint, random assignment is impossible. It happens in real world setting. Okay, so when we talk about quasi experiment, obviously, this is a kind of experiment where we are trying to justify what was conducted in the true experimental study. In here, the quasi experiments is normally done with a certain group having the same level of proficiency, equal test result, and having the same teaching strategies applied by the teacher with this group, but they are not going to be used or to be picked out randomly. So for example, if they came into one group, for example the homogeneous grouping, we came to know that most of the homogeneous grouping, they came into the same level of proficiency, and most likely all of them are excelling in their academic performances. So in here, the quasi-experiment can be performed in a real-time situation without bothering oneself who are supposed to be qualified for the study. It's actually a continuation of true experiment. Once the true experimental study was conducted, it will probably be justified in the quasi. How effective is this for the group having the same level of proficiency, same test result, and also same teaching strategies applied by the teacher. So it goes like that. Okay. So I got these informations from the YouTube I just watched, and you can refer this for more details and information. Okay, I hope I was able to enlighten your thinking concerning the design for quantitative study and have it for yourself. Thank you. and have a nice day to everyone.